Hey everyone, Rabbit Hedgehog here, and we want to thank our sponsors before the start of this video. Shout out to Law Tigers out there riding with us right now, but standing with us in the event of an accident. Need custom racing leathers or gear for the everyday ride? AGVSportUSA is here for that, and based out of Argyle, Texas, and serving riders nationwide. Also, we want to thank Doug Crawford, an independent AMSOIL dealer, for providing us with the fluids that keep our machines running well on into the future. Visit the description below for web links and contact details to get in touch with them today. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Rabbit Hedgehog channel with Indian Motorcycle of Oklahoma City. And today we're going to be talking about both of these. Even though I've rode the Scout Classic already that has come out, I'm going to talk about the 60 that is brand new for 2025. So the Scout has always had the smaller brother known as the Scout 60 that has come out usually a little bit after the first one did. These are a little bit smaller engine. But I want to go over the differences and everything, take this one for a ride, and compare it to the 1250 that is sitting here before me. So the biggest difference that we're going to have, of course, is the engine on this one is a 999 with a 5-speed transmission. You'll notice it's going to have the same chrome and everything that is on the other here in just a moment, but there is a difference in the cylinder head. We'll go over that as well. We do have cast wheels on the Scout 60. Go ahead and walk around it real quick. They are equipped with ABS, LED lighting, and all that good stuff. The 3-inch suspension travels on this one as well. The long fender is what denotes the Classic. Also the pulled back handlebars and a little bit different seating position as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about these differences real quick between the 1250 and this 60 on the Scouts. So one thing you'll notice here, it does show a 1250, and you also have a chromed out cylinder head. When you come over here, some will have the 999. The bases do not, but you notice it is a blacked out cylinder head on this one. Wire wheels on this one. Cast wheels on this one. So that's going to be the biggest way to tell very quickly if you're looking at a 1250 and also a 60. Another difference too, this says Indian Scout. The 60s generally do not. It just says Indian, just has that Indian script on there. So that's the biggest difference between, or biggest differences I should say, between these two, besides the horsepower as well. 105 horsepower here and 85 horsepower here. So you also get 65 foot-pounds of torque as well on this one. So that matches the old 60. The 60 was 78 horsepower and 65 foot-pounds of torque. This one's 85 and 65. So pretty much in the same ballpark there. Another thing too to note with the 60, of course, is like I said, it's a 5-speed versus a 6-speed. This one here is a 6-speed, but also right here, notice where the foot control is on this one. And then notice this one is more pulled back. So the 60s also generally have almost a mid-mount control over the forward controls of the full-size Scouts as well. The 60s are more of an entry level, so they are cheaper as well. I'll put all the detailed description and everything of these bikes down in the comments below, or the description I should say. But other than that, that's pretty much the same. They weigh within a couple of pounds of each other. This one's around 551. This one's 553. So this one's just a smidge heavier than the 60. So you wouldn't even notice the 2 pounds basically that you're getting at. So I wanted to show you the differences side by side. Both of these are base models. So what they come with stock in the base is, of course, just the LED lighting and the ABS on the bikes as well. So that is a stock option and standard on both of these. But you'll notice the 60 carries that modular design as well, in that you actually have a new switch cube you can put on there for the cruise control, or you can even update it to the tech and everything. If you do that, you do have to remove this console, put a different console on there to fit the gauge with the GPS under there and its mountings and all that good stuff. You can also get the USB charging on the 60s as well. The base models don't have it naturally. You could even update the modules and everything so you can have the traction control and other goodies. So this one can be fully modified as well. All the Scouts just behind their ignition here have their pigtails for charging. Usually it is just behind there and stuffed up in there. So if you have a Scout, note that you have that down there as well. Just like our big Scout, whenever you pop it on, we do have the analog on the base one. ABS is waiting to come online. If you use your right hand trigger over here, that is going to take you through your trip computer, your trip 1, trip 2, tachometer, your voltage on your battery, your air temperature, your current average miles per gallon, your range, and you go back to your main odometer. You do have a clock down there, and you do have a gas gauge plus your gear indicator, your brights, coolant warning, chassis fault warning, engine service engine, then your turn signals, ABS, neutral, and traction control light. Over here, of course, you do have your bright, turn signals that are self-canceling from a stop. Horn is over there as well. Very FTR-like now on these. You do have a slightly bigger gas tank on these as well. They were 3.3, these are 3.4, so it's only a tenth of a gallon bigger, but it is a little bit bigger, getting you around 20 more miles than what you're used to on the old Scouts. So see these things getting up into about the 140s before they need fuel, absolutely need fuel. There is also something as well that was not on these. There is a safety interlock, so you see I'm in first gear. If I was to throw that side stand down, I get a side stand warning, I get a chassis fault, and a low oil warning. Now, that does not mean that there is actually low oil. It's just because of the fact that the bike has shut down and it's no longer reading oil pressure. So if you start it back up, it will clear that code and it will clear everything. As long as you got the side stand up, if I was to put it down even in neutral, you'll see I'll get that warning as well. So that's something that the other Scouts did not have in the US. They did not have that side stand warning that we do now. So I just wanted to go over how that worked for you. Let me make sure I get somewhat set up here for myself here. We'll take this one for a little ride. I have not been on a 60 for the 25 model years yet, except for just around the shop here. So again, with the classic, the long fenders and the pulled back bars, this one of course is more of a mid-mount versus the big one there. And you're very crunched on here actually. At least for my height. Again, Rabbit Hedgehog is around 6 foot tall with a 32-inch inseam. I have a very long, midsection to my arms and everything, but very short arms. So I'm a very, very weird individual with size 14 feet. So make it all make sense. I can't. I'm basically 40 years old and I still can't make sense of myself. Anywho, we'll go ahead and ride down here. Now, the one thing about the 60s is that they are designed as, like I said, a first bike, a commuter style bike. And overall, they do a very good job at that. They're fairly lightweight. They're very well balanced. Of course, with the feet being right almost underneath you, it's a little bit more comforting than putting your feet up forward. Although I prefer, just because I've been riding for a long time, I would prefer my feet to be a little bit forward. Or if not, a little bit more back, like a standard bike. This one is a little bit further forward than your normal mid-set controls. This one's about 3 inches more forward than that, probably, maybe even a little more than that. So your leg comes straight out, and then it meets your knee and goes straight down to the control. So you're very much on there. You can see my knees coming above the tank. And that's because you're very cramped on here. I do like the full-size Scout a little bit more because, you know, the forward mount allows me to stretch out just a little bit more. It's a little bit more comfortable, that's for sure. Of course, we're riding down through here on these nice broken road construction roads here, and the suspension's being nice and compliant. It shares the same suspension with the full-sized version. They're the 3 inches in the back, 41 millimeter in the front. So you get that same suspension that the new Scouts have gotten since 2025. Which was a welcome change whenever I rode the Scout Classic last year. And it's a welcome change here as well. You can see that I'm in 4th gear. Let me get my tachometer there. Going 35 miles an hour and 2,250 RPMs. It's just purring right along. Engine is not bogging or anything. This is actually kind of a happy spot for it. Got to be careful because I will touch down on this bike very quickly, I can tell. And by touching down, that just means that the pegs will scrape up a little bit, and I don't want to do that on a new motorcycle. But I can definitely tell that is something that is a high possibility with this one because it's pretty low to the ground. Very footable whenever you get up to the light and everything. Your leg is straight down. I still got a significant bend in my leg. These bikes have roughly, when laden on the seat, 25.6 inch seat height. So it has a very low seat height to begin with. But not a problem at all. Whee. And it's a smooth little engine. Right now I'm actually approaching highway speed. I was in 4th gear there for a moment, and I'll go back to 4th actually. That way I can have a little bit more pulling. Let this car go by here. So in 4th gear, remember I'm a 5-speed this time. Approaching 65 miles an hour, there we go, and I'm at 50 RPM. And this one redlines closer to around 8,000 or so, or maybe a little more than that. So I'm about halfway up the line. If I go ahead and go to 5th gear, that is dropping me down to 3,000 to 2,950 at the same speed. Maybe 3,150 at the most, so that's pretty significant change there. So the way they gear these 5 speeds matches the engine really nicely. And I feel like this engine has very much improved, actually. This is, if you can see the mirrors, this is a very clean sight picture, not vibrating at all. This is a purring little happy engine. Again, I feel so much closer to the controls on this bike because of the way I'm sitting in that more mid-mount position. Again, I'm pretty tucked on here. My back is bent forward to the controls, so I have a little bit of a bend, so it puts me in a little bit more of an aggressive riding position for a cruiser, which is actually kind of okay for this bike, for sure. I do like the way the front end is balanced with the rear on the suspension for these newer bikes. Because the old Scout, I feel like the front was sometimes a little undersprung, but they have definitely dialed it in for this particular generation. And you can feel that when you're riding on these roads. Usually this is a concrete road, so it kind of bucks you a little bit, but we're going over nice and smooth. Fueling on this motorcycle is rather nice. You can put your wrist into it it is going to be a little lackadaisical because we're not in its power band. It likes to be a mid-range kind of power band. So if I put my wrist into it, you can see it's a very slow climb up to your speed from the 3,000 RPM mark. If I drop that down, you'll see that it catches much more quickly. So it likes to be revved up a little bit more. Of course, this bike is in a break-in period, so you don't want to mess with it too much, but I just want to show you that there is a difference between your power bands. You want to get into the 4,000s and you'll definitely feel it a little bit more, but it holds itself just right. If you need to get up to speed a little bit more to pass somebody, you can roll that throttle on, and there's enough there, even in fifth gear, at 65 miles an hour to get rolling a little bit. But note that there's going to be more if you are a little bit faster, like 70 or so. Then you would probably be right in that butter zone, and it would take off a little bit better for you then. Visibility out of the mirrors is very nice. Of course, the teardrop mirrors are nice and large. You do see a little bit of your shoulders and elbow in every single shot that you look at, but I can cleanly see, like I said, the mirrors are very stable because there's no vibrations, and I can clearly see around me and behind me, and looks very good. We are riding in some fairly significant winds right now. Of course, I am going away from the wind at the moment. We'll be turning around here and going toward the wind. But right now we are very stable. It has very nice holding road weight, but definitely not as good as your bigger cruisers. Of course, it's designed to be a commuter. It's not designed to be the long range cruising deal. You can make a Scout that. I've seen several people do it, and you just change out a few things. Again, a modular platform where you can get better suspension, change your mounting to forward mount, change your handlebars up. There's a lot of things you can do with a Scout, and it'll treat you right. The engines have always been very reliable on these guys, and they're very long service intervals too. This particular one, whenever you complete your 500-mile first service, you come back in every year or every 10,000 miles, whatever comes first. So that is a very long interval. It makes the Scout a really easy-going bike to own because it's not expensive to maintain, and it is a very reliable platform too. Coming down here, we got good engine braking. We go ahead and downshift. Transmission shifts very nicely, not notchy in any way. Again, like I said, I've got very nice control over the transmission. Ooh, getting close touchdown. Don't want to do that. Speed. Again, very good off the corner there. So if you're wanting to drag some corners, you're going to do it very quickly with these. So just note that it is not a canyon carver altogether. You can, but you'll be dragging the peg most of the time. But it turns real nicely, real crisp response, left and right. Getting back up to highway speed is not a problem. Again, I'm going into the wind, which is somewhere in the 20s, as you can see by my flag over there. And we're still doing all right. Not having any wind protection, the seating position, because you are leaned slightly forward, at least for me, it doesn't bother me that bad. Of course, I've been riding mostly bikes without fairings for the majority of my rides, and in Oklahoma. So in general, I don't have to worry about wind as much as others. I don't get the bobblehead that bad because my neck muscles have adapted over these years. So if you're new and riding around for the first time, note this might be a little windy for you. If you're used to it, it does a very good job for a small bike. A bike that is not as heavy as most, and it's staying pretty tracked and true right now, heading straight into the wind. Sometimes you get buffeting and you get moved around, but we are nice and stable as we speak. So really nice package here. And again, the 60s come in different flavors. You can get the Bobber 60. You can also get the Sport Scout 60. And of course, this one here, the Scout Classic 60. This one does not come in the Super Scout 60 flavor or a 101. So, and it also does not come naturally with the tech package. You can get these in limited or base. Again, this is the base, and your base gets the ABS and the all LED lighting. Your limited adds the traction control, the cruise control, ride modes, and USB charging, just like your Big Scout. And again, if you wanted to, you can purchase the ride command screen for the front dial there, and even the keyless part as well if you wanted to. So you can make this your own. You can make it a full out, you know, Scout Limited Plus Tech 60 if you wanted to. But sometimes I don't see a need for it. I would rather have a nice motorcycle that's just mostly a motorcycle. And the 60 provides a very good entry into that, where you get pretty much just a bare bone motorcycle with some niceties like the ABS. And you can add more niceties if you like with the limited package. Of course, if you're buying the base, it only comes in black. You can get other colors if you move up to the limited package. But I like how on this one they include the Indian badge. On the old one they used to not, so it left exposed wires up front. On these it actually has it, so it looks cleaner. It rides so much better. Like, I am shocked at how much smoother this is. I felt like the old 999 was a little bit more raspy, where the 1130 felt more refined. And this one, it's kind of reversed. The 1250 has a little bit more rasp to it, while this one has a little bit smoother. I don't mind rasp or anything like that, and I don't mind smoothness. It depends on, you know, what you're doing, but I can feel enough that this is a motorcycle. There is a little bit of vibration here and there. I would say the vibration in the handlebars is very negligible. I feel a little bit more in the foot pegs is where I feel it at the most. For me, I would say this is a great commuter bike, probably no more than an hour ride at a time, just because I am planted on here and I don't have much movement that I can do because of the more mid-mount. I do prefer definitely a forward mount. But again, if you're using this as a commuter to slice around and get it, or, you know, through town and everything, this is a way to go. It handles traffic just fine. I can go faster, of course, but why should I? You know, this is not my personal racetrack, even though everybody else treats it as such. Looking at all ya. No reason to be in a hurry. But I really like what they've done with the Scout 60 platform for this year, making it more akin to its bigger brother. I do like the fact that this does have cast wheels on board. Wire wheels are hard to clean and, you know, a little bit more maintenance, so if you're a first-time rider, you don't have to worry about it with the 60. Again, it tracks nice and true. The ergonomics are pretty good. Again, I would just prefer that forward mount. That's about it. I'm not getting any hot spots in my hips or anything from the bends or nothing, so I'm happy about that. Suspension is a whole lot more improved. There is still some harshness involved, but not too bad at all. Again, smaller bikes generally don't have the biggest or best suspension. But they've done a really good job with the tuning on it. As much bumps and bounces as we have in Oklahoma from all the things that we've got, it's handling it just fine, tracking nice and true. Turns in and out of things very easily. I know I've done mostly straight today, but I can promise you, you can feel it whenever you're riding one. You'll touch down very quickly on this. You'll get very comfortable with how well it turns, and it will help you out and reward you in the long run too. So good place to start, and a good place to, if you need a backup bike that's not as big as your big tour or anything like that, it's a good bike to have as your city commuter as well. Great little engine, good engine compression braking, good acceleration. Again, shockingly smooth engine. I'm surprised at how much smoother this engine is, because the one I remember from last time was definitely a raspier engine, but this one, man, it just feels all right. All right, back at the shop here. Park this bad boy and so again, love the platform. I do like the speed and the forward controls on that one a little bit more. But this one, if you're looking for your first motorcycle, that mid-mount does give you more confidence in the long run. Very good place to start. You do, of course, like the other one, you do have these fillers where if you do add heated grips and or your fog lamps, that's where your controls would go. So like, again, a completely modular system. More blacked out than its bigger brother, because you got the cast wheels with the 2-color versus the, the wire wheels on that one. So blacked out heads versus chrome. You are getting a cheaper bike, but you're still getting a lot for what you're going for on that. So really do like the Scout 60. Great place to be if you're starting out. And like I said, great place to be if you've been riding for a while and just need a bike to commute with. And once again, this is the Rabbit Hedgehog, and I do want to thank my sponsors of the channel. I want to thank AGVSportUSA for providing our riding gear and helping us stay safe. And I also want to give a shout out to Ball Tigers of Oklahoma. They are part of our community and always doing good for us. But then whenever something happens to us, they help us and fight for us in the courtroom and do a great job of that. And also Doug Crawford and USA Synthetics and his AMS oil distribution here in Oklahoma City. Give a shout out to those folks out there, keeping our bikes protected, keeping us protected, and all that good stuff. Once again, this is Rabbit Hedgehog with Indian Motorcycle of Oklahoma City with the 2025 Scout 60. Hope you enjoyed the ride. Please like and subscribe. Let me know how I can do to change. See if I can get even better at this as I go. At any rate, keep that shiny side up, and we'll catch you on the next ride.